Hello, in this video we are going to see the IS curve. I stands for investment and S for saving. And we are going to see why the IS curve has this shape. In the previous video we considered that investment doesn't depend on interest rate. Now in this video we are going to include this term, so we are going to assume that investment does depend on interest rate, B is greater than 0, and we are going to interpret this form of investment. So now we are going to take the panel of goods and services market, and as we want to analyze this we are going to forget the rest and we are going to take only this part. So if I0 has the initial value 100 and B the value 10, then if interest rate is 6, what we get here is 10 times 6, 60, 100 minus 60 is 40, so the level of investment is 40. Now if the interest rate goes down from 6 to, let's say, 3, then here we have 100 minus 30, which is 70, so the investment increases from 40 to 70. This makes sense because if the interest rate is low, then the firms have more incentive to ask for loans to invest. So now we are going to do something similar to what we have done before, except that we include this term now. So we distribute this C, so we get this. Now we take Y common factor, we get this, and now we rearrange things, and finally we take C common factor, and then we get this. So now we are going to rewrite exactly the same, except something very important thing, that I here is I in equilibrium. What does this mean? We are going to see now. If we want to draw this aggregate expenditure curve, then we need this value, otherwise we cannot draw this curve. So if we start with the goods and services market with this value, then we plug in all of the value and we can see that here there is no value for I. So the question is, how can I get the value for I, for interest rate? Well, for this data the value for interest rate is 5, but the question is, where does this 5 come from? So I give you a short answer now. It comes if the goods and services market is an equilibrium and the money market is an equilibrium, we haven't seen how yet, then with both markets in equilibrium we can find this 5, and this is what we are going to do between this video and the next. But for the time being I want to find the value for interest rate. So we write interest rate in equilibrium because it comes from the equilibrium of these two markets. Now if this interest rate in equilibrium is given and is 5, then we can easily draw this aggregate expenditure, because here we have minus 50 and here we have 100, 250, so 250 minus 50 is 200, and here we have 0.5, so aggregate expenditure is 200 plus 0.5 y. So the intercept is 200 and the slope is 0.5. But again, I need interest rate to be constant in order to draw this curve. what we want to do is to find the value of interest rate in equilibrium. So as we want equilibrium, we ask how I find the equilibrium in the goods and services market. Well, we know already we have to do aggregate expenditure equal to income. So this is income in the horizontal axis, this is aggregate expenditure in the vertical axis, and in equilibrium aggregate expenditure is equal to income. So here I can use y instead of aggregate expenditure because they are the same, and now we have here y that we are going to unite them, and here if I want to find the value of this I equilibrium, then how I find it? The first thing that we have to do is to drop the assumption that this is a constant. So we forget, we don't assume that this is constant anymore. Now interest rate is going to be a variable. So the first thing that we are going to do is to isolate interest rate from here. So if we isolate interest rate, then we get this expression, and now we have only two variables, y, which is income, which is the independent variable that we draw in the horizontal axis, and then we have interest rate, the dependable variable that vary along the vertical axis. And that's it. This is just the IS curve. This is the IS curve. Where did this IS curve came from? Well, it came from the assumption that this, which is aggregate expenditure, is equal to income. So it came from the assumption that the good and service market is an equilibrium. And then if the good market is an equilibrium, then we have this curve which represents all of the combination of interest rate and income, in which the good and service market is an equilibrium. So were we able to find the value of interest rate in equilibrium? Well, no, but we are getting closer. What is the intercept and the slope of the IS curve? Well, this is exactly the same. So what we are going to do to find out that is, so we are going to take everything that is not affected by y, and this is the intercept. Everything is positive here, so we get a positive point here. And this is the slope. So why this slope is negative? Normally this is done in most of the book, taking two different values of interest rate, and then these two different values of interest rate, we see it here, and we see that when interest rate is lower, income is bigger, because the investment is greater when the interest rate is lower, and then income is higher. So with 2 points here, we find 2 points here, different point for y, and then we see that when the interest goes down, the income goes up. But I will just show it intuitively with the data that we have. So you just plug this value here, and then you get a 0.5 here, minus this is 0, minus 1, so it's negative, and b is 10, so this in this example is negative, very simple. In the video after the next, we are going to see the intuition why this IS curve has negative slope. But this, for the example that we are using, is very clear out of this data. In the next video, we are going to see the interpretation of this coefficient B. Okay, that's it. See you in the next video.